Now let's see some of this verb. First of all, we got ouvrir, which means to open, couvrir, to cover, découvrir, to discover, to uncover, cueillir, to pick, and accueillir is to welcome, recueillir, to collect, asseoir, to assail, and souffrir, to suffer. These verbs are going to use the same endings as the first group of the verb. Remember, this first group of the verb endings are E, ES, E, ONS, EZ, and ENT. They are going to use the same exact format to conjugate them. Let's take a look. Couvrir, which is to cover. All right, you see this? IR is replaced by E. IR is replaced by ES for true. IR is replaced by E, okay, for il and L. IR is replaced by ONS for nous. IR is replaced by EZ for vous. And IR is replaced by ENT. And you say je couvre, tu couvres, il couvre, elle couvre, nous couvrons, vous couvrez, il couvre, elle couvre. Let's go. Now we have another category of IR verb. They are irregular, okay? We have partir, which is to leave, sortir, to go out, dormir, to sleep, servir, to serve, and sentir, to smell or to feel, and mentir, to lie, okay? Then they are going to use S, ST, ONS, EZ, and ENT. As we saw it previously, most of them will be using the same ending. So now, how are you going to do that? So now let's just take a look. Partir as a third group of verb. Now, first of all, you are going to use for je, tu, il, and elle, singular. You are going to use the first three letters as your radical, okay? As you can see it, I have my first three letters and I add S on it, and you have je pars, all right? Same thing right here. For the second one, you say tu pars with S. Remember, these terminations are the one you're using, right? Replacing IR. So now, third one again, you will do the same thing, and you use the par without T on it for the three first ones. So now, when we get to the fourth one, we are going to add that T. Instead of using instead of using three letters, we add T on it, all right? So now our termination or our radical will be part, all right? And you continue adding the ONS, EZ, all right, till you finish, and ENT, okay? And all of these verbs, you are going to do the same thing for them. Let's say that you have dormir, right? Dormir. So now we have dormir right here. What will be the radical for je, tu, il, and elle? Remember, we will take three letters first of all, and that's why we will use dor, 1, 2, 3, and we add S. You have it right here. And when you get to nous, you take the fourth letter, then you will have the radical as, or like this, and you add ONS on it. That's why you say nous dormons, okay? Very good. So now we have another group of IR verbs. Okay, so now for this one right here, okay, you are going to use another formula for them. So now let's go use it. Now we have the verb venir. First of all, venir means to come, and sometimes we use it as to come from. Tenir, to hold, devenir to become, revenir to come back, intervenir to intervene, contenir to contain, maintenir to maintain, obtenir to obtain. All right. So now, how are you going to conjugate this verb? And they are going to use these SSS. So now, let's see how we can explain. Now, for the first subject pronoun, we are going to use venir. But now, not like that. We have to switch that I after the 1, 2. Okay? We count where the I is, and we count 1, 2. And we add that I right here. That's why your I was here. And when we count 1, 2, 1, 2, and we add the I right here, then you will have it like this. What else? We have to add the termination, the first one for je, and you have it right here. Okay? Then second one, you will do the same thing. You use the venir and you count 1, 2. Okay? After the I, then you add your I. Remember, you have 1, 2, and this is the I right here. And after that, it would be like this. Then along with your ending right here, and you add it on it. Do not forget. Then the third one, the same exact thing. After switching the I after 1, 2 letters, and you will have to add your termination, which is T. Then now for the number 4, the fourth one, you won't need that I anymore, which means that you are going to drop the I completely. So now you don't need that, and you have the base form right here. And by having this right here as your radical, and you have to use the related ending on it, okay? And remember, when I'm talking about radical and termination, I said radical is the beginning of the verb, and the termination is the ending of the verb, right? The 2 last letters, okay? So now the number 5, you are going to do the same thing as the noun form of it. And number 6, you do the same exact 1, 2 format to have it right here. But in this case, you will have to double your N to have it vienne. So now you say je viens, tu viens, il vient, elle vient, nous venons, vous venez, ils viennent, elles viennent. So now let me take another verb. Okay, we have the verb maintenir. Just to give you another example, we have maintenir. Boom. How many letters do we had in venir again? Venir, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now, how many letters are there? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is more than venir. So now let's try to get 5 last numbers from this verb. And let's start from the right to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? We get it. We got 5. And these are the 5 letters that we are going to be switching over to conjugate the verb. So which means that for je, okay, remember we are not going to touch that. We are going to keep it the same exact way. All right? Mais. So now the 5 letters that we are going to use is tenir right here, right? But remember that or should be gone. We have to delete that. And the last one will be tenir. But remember what we did for the I, for je, tu, and il, what we did, we switched that I before the these two letters. Counting, you say 1, 2. After I, you don't count I, you say 1, 2, right? And then you switch I right here, and that will give you, remember, we say 1 and an E, okay? And I should come right here, right? Then what else we have to do? We have to place that S on it as the termination, and you have je maintiens. Good. Then the same exact thing for tu. Okay? Mais, we keep mais as it is, and we count. We deleted that or, then we count on 1, 2, and our I is coming right here. And what else we have there? We have S, right? For il and elle, remember, we're dealing with only the last 5 letters to conjugate this category. And what are the letters we have? N and E, 1, 2. Remember, I should be coming right here, right? All right, remember our tenir right here? But now we switch it over right here. And what else we have there? We have T, okay? Il, elle maintient. So now, let me go right here. You see this? Now we have nous. Nous. For nous, remember we have to still keeping the mais. What did we do for venir? When we have venir, when we get to nous, we use vin, right? But in this case, when we had tenir right here, right? We gotta keep 10, right? And that's what we have like this. And by adding your endings, it will give you maintenant. Maintenant. You see this? Then vous, you are going to do the same thing forward. Maintenez. All right. Then the last one, you will do the same thing as je, tu, il, and elle. But in that case, you have to double your and, right? So now that's why you will have elle, il, elle, mais, tienne. Boom, maintienne. And you have it right there. And do not forget, all these verbs will be using the same technique. So now, beginning from obtenir, you are going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you play your little game. For maintenir, we did that. And for continue, you are going to start by saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For that one, intervenir, we are going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then continue practicing. Check your responses online just to see if you get it right. All right. Now, for this following verb, okay, for this following verb, we have attendre, we have, which means to wait, répondre, to answer, to respond, défendre, to defend, entendre, to hear, okay? Then descendre, to descend. We have défendre already, and prétendre, to pretend, and vendre, to sell. Okay, so now how I am going to conjugate these verbs. This category of verb is pretty easy to conjugate. Let me show you how you will be doing this. Example, okay. Example, we have the verb prendre. All you gotta do, you are going to eliminate this RE and add the following endings, okay? So now for je, remember we eliminated that and we had répond. And by adding S for the first je, and for tu, you will do the same thing. That's why I say tu réponds. By adding the second S, then now, il, elle répond. Remember, we didn't have anything for this. That's why we keep it that way. Okay? Then, nous répondons. Okay? You have répond and you add ONS on it. That's why we have répondons. Then, vous répondez, the same exact thing. Ils répondent, elles répondent. Easy, okay? This verb. And how I am going to determine it, these verbs. So now, as you can see it, we have E or DN, right? E or DN, E or DN. And you see this change, you cannot go further. E or DN, E or DN, okay? E or DN. E or DN, right? All of them, they have that same E or DN, E or DN. So now make sure that you remember them, okay? But because we have other D or E verbs that will conjugate, use other ways to conjugate them. Let's see some of them. So now we have the verb prendre. Apprendre. Prendre means to take. Apprendre means to learn. Comprendre means to understand. Entreprendre means to undertake, okay? Undertake something. Reprendre means retake. Surprendre means to surprise, okay? So now, these are the same exact way to conjugate them. But let's see how we are going to add this termination on these verbs. Let's go. For prendre, okay? We are going to use for je, tu, il, the same exact prendre, which means that we are going to eliminate the prendre, the RE part, and adding this termination. That's why we have je prends, tu prends, il, elle prend. So now when you get to nous, not only RE you are going to delete, but you have to delete this D as well, okay? For these verbs, okay? And that's why I have nous prenons. You see the D gone. Vous prenez, and I'm still using my terminations, right? And for that one, you have to double your N. Instead of having one N, you will have two N. Okay, for the last one, and that's what you say, ils prennent, elles prennent. So now, how can I identify this verb? Remember, this has E or D N E or P. E or D N E or P. E or D N E or P. E or, like, basically all of them has prendre at the end. If you look at it properly, prendre. You see this? Prendre, prendre, prendre. Now you have a better idea about how to identify the same exact verb. Whenever you see that prendre at the end of it, think about this sort of conjugation. And you will do the same thing with all these verbs. All right. So we have another category of RE verbs. And these verbs, as you can see it, craindre, which is to fear, to be scared of something. Atteindre, which is to reach out a certain level, okay? Éteindre, to extinguish. Joindre, to join. Peindre, to paint. Plaindre, to complain. Complain. And these are the endings to use to conjugate this type of verb, okay? So now, how can I identify this verb? You see, we have E or D N I. E or D N I. E or D N I. E or, you see? And make sure you keep this in mind. Whenever you see this type of verbs, they are going to use the same exact way to conjugate them. I mean, by the way that I will show you right now. Let's go. Example, we have the verb crain, which is to fear. Okay, to fear. All right, to be scared of something. So now, how can I conjugate that? I use I eliminated for je, tu, il. I eliminated the three last letters, right? To have je crains, and you add, of course, your termination right here, the first one. Tu crains, you do the same thing, you add, all right? Il, elle craint, all right? You add the T on it. Nous craignons. So now in this case, after these three, you are not only going to delete that and, okay, not deleting it, but there's a little sort of game too, but you are going to replace it by chi and, right? So now that's why in this case, your ending or your radical will be crain. Crain. All right, and by having this, and you will have the ONS, which is your termination for the conjugation of this verb. Then after that, vous craignez. Remember, we're using craigne. All right. Then the last one will be crain as well. All right. So now after the three subject pronoun, crain, let's say that your termination will be, your radical will be crain. And you have to add the endings at the end of this termination for nous, vous, on, il plural, elle plural. Do not forget that. That is a way that I'm showing you to memorize these verbs, okay? If you have other ways, do not hesitate to share your way of conjugation with me. So now we have the verb vouloir and pouvoir. And vouloir means to want. Pouvoir means to be able to, okay? To be able to or can, right? So now let's conjugate the verb pouvoir just to show you, okay? Now, this is kind of conjugation where you have to memorize it as it is, right? I don't really see how I can explain it to you, okay? So now, for pouvoir, it's je peux, tu peux, il, elle peut, nous pouvons, vous pouvez, ils peuvent, elles peuvent. And your vouloir will be the same thing. Je veux, tu veux, il, elle veut, nous voulons, vous voulez, ils, elles veulent. Very good. All right. So now, guys, these are the two verbs so far that I'm remembering in this category. If you have others, do not forget to share with me as well. But now we have some other third group of verbs. We have the verb conclure, and this is the conjugation of it, which is conclure, 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 concluant, concluer, conclue, and conclue, right? And we have the verb connaître, which is to know, connaît, 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 connaissant, connaissez, connaissez, no, connaissent, and connaissent. For the two of them, remember, they feminine and they masculine. So now, croire, which is to believe, we have croire, 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 croyant, croyez, croire, and croire. Dire, to say, dit, 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 disons, dites, dise, and dise. Écrire, to write, we have écrit, 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 écrivons, écrivez, écrive, écrive. Faire, we have fait, 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 faisons, faites, font, and font. Remember, you're supposed to use your subject pronoun. I'm just telling you the pronunciation, and you can follow up just to find a related subject pronoun. So now we have lire, to read, lis, lisons, lisez, lise, or lise. Naître, to be born, we have naît, naissons, naissez, naissent, and naissent. Rire, to laugh, we have ri, rions, riez, rit. suivre, which is to follow. We have suis, suis, suivons, suivez, suivre, suivre. To live or live, we have vi, vivons, vivez, vive, and vive. And also we have verbs like mettre. If you see at the end of a verb, you have this mettre, and the way that I will show you how to conjugate mettre, you can just finish that verb the same exact way, conjugate it that same exact way, right? So mettre, we have je mets, tu mets, il, elle met, nous mettons, vous mettez, il, elle met. This is what it is, okay? This is for the verb mettre. And don't forget, mettre means to put. Okay? To put. Very good. So now, guys, I just want to tell you, thank you for watching. And please do not forget to subscribe